Welcome, everybody, to the Inner Carnivore Podcast, episode 32, with my guest, Ray Hicks. Before we get into it, whether you guys are streaming this on iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or watching the full video on YouTube, do me a favor, like the show, review it, leave a comment, send it to a friend. It helps immensely, and I appreciate it every single time that you guys do. So jumping right in, Carnivore Ray, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. It's Saturday. If you're having a bad day on Saturday, it's probably your fault.
Probably. So, dude, man, I'm so jazzed for this. And yes, I said jazzed. Later, we're going to have Richard Simmons come on and we're going to do some jazzercise, maybe some Suzanne Summers with Thigh Master. Dude, okay, so like I gotta tell you, I don't know how I never saw your account. Like, we just talked about this prior to recording. When I first saw it, I was like, who's this like Ray guy? And then I saw it and I was like, you got like 50,000 followers. How have I literally never heard of you? Like, I mean, I've been doing carnivore for a little while. Like, I follow a decent amount of people. I'm like, who is this guy? And so I like started following along, and honestly, like, this is the god honest truth. I saw you like one video where you're like, don't do carnivore. It's terrible. You're going to feel great and lose weight. And I was like, I gotta be friends with this guy. Like, that's like up my alley. Like, and then I'm pretty sure I stalked your page for a little while, and then like here we are. So, how are you doing, man?
Dude, good. It's also Instagram. I've only been posting for like 2 months. I've been posting on TikTok for probably 7-8 months, and then just uploaded a bunch of the same videos I had. That's probably why you didn't hear about me, but.
That would make sense.
That dry humor, that's my humor all day. That's like The Office, the show The Office.
Oh yeah,
love it. I have watched that show more times than probably most humans on this planet, which says a lot about my time stewarding skills. But yeah, I'm good.
So we gotta ask about The Office, because I'm currently finishing up the Superfan episodes on Peacock.
Okay.
Have you seen those?
I have.
Yeah, like, and I honestly have seen, like, I've seen the entire series through probably 15 times. Like, it's like on a repeat cycle, right? Like,
it's good.
So I have a couple. Oh yeah, like I have a couple shows that I'll watch, like How I Met Your Mother, Parks and Rec, that kind of stuff. And it's when one of those ends, the next one starts, and you just watch it over again. And every single time, I'm like, okay, that's super funny. I'm like, I know what's gonna happen. But every single time.
Yeah. I completely agree. I don't even have to watch it. It can just be on in the background, and I can see what's going on. That show and Suits. I don't know if you've ever seen Suits, but...
So I'm literally watching that for the second time right now. So I picked 2 shows. I don't watch very much TV. Usually it's like the thing that my wife and I will do on days that she's home, nights that she's home.
Yeah.
Where we'll watch for like an hour after the kids go to bed. So it's like Suits. We watch one episode of Suits and one episode of The Office, and then we go to bed. Like, that is literally the entire amount of TV that I watch right now.
That's amazing. I'm not that disciplined. I'll leave it running and pass out. Yeah.
My wife will fall asleep. I'm not somebody that falls asleep on the couch. Like, when I first became a dad, I did. Like, I had the like, typical like dad fall asleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, that is, man, we're gonna talk about TV all day. I want to hear, like, so I've heard your story a couple times. For people that haven't, because like Instagram's its own separate world from TikTok. Like, TikTok's this weird like communist China cesspool of information.
Yeah.
Like, walk me through your carnivore story. Like, what made you choose carnivore? Like, I know you said you saw a Jordan Peterson video, but like, what was the thought process, and how did you arrive at saying, you know what, I am just going to eat meat, seafood, and eggs?
Yeah, great question. So I did see a clip of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, and you got Joe Rogan, who's talking in my lingo, because Jordan Peterson's just a freaking brainiac.
Way smarter than anybody ever on this earth. And you're like, so I'm gonna cut you off real fast. I got one of his audiobooks. Holy mind, like, I'm trying to listen to this. I'm like, what are you? He's talking about lobsters and I'm like, what are you talking about right now, bro? You are like, I need a dictionary just trying to listen to the stuff that you're speaking right now. I think he's brilliant, but I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Nobody makes me feel more incompetent than probably Jordan Peterson and C.S. Lewis is probably, anyways, you got Joe talking about like, yeah, I lost 12 pounds in a couple weeks, and I think, well, that's cool. Weight loss isn't foreign to me. I've lost weight before. I've always been a big dude, except for, right now. At my heaviest, I was 315, and then lost all the weight. I got down to 212. I was strong, I was playing football and stuff, but I did that eating 40% carbs, 40% protein, and 20% fat. And thought I felt good. Ended up gaining most of the weight back, got up to 295, and then saw, JP and Joe Rogan talking about this. And so losing weight, that sounded like a cool benefit. But hearing Joe talk about the mental clarity, I just had brain fog for 2 months. And I've always been somebody that brain fog's not real. It's one of those, made up, hype terms right now that, I've got brain fog. It's, no, you don't. Just focus. No, I had brain fog for the first time in my life. I'm like, this is a real thing. I feel like a box of rocks up here. And, anyways, hearing that, and then depression, it's something that I've struggled with from a very early age. And Jordan Peterson talking about how, him and his daughter have faced severe depression. I'm like, I resonate with that. And for them to say, okay, it was gone. And it was after cutting out vegetables that they experienced most of these benefits. I'm thinking, that's not healthy. But I also respect, Jordan Peterson. So if he's willing to talk about this on such a massive platform, surely 30 days of this isn't going to kill me, right? And so August 1st, 2023, just said, all right, I'm going to do it. And I didn't even do it right. Just being transparent. I was still drinking, protein shakes for the first few days, just normal Costco protein. Processed cheese, I would just dump it on a bunch of egg whites because that's what I had in my fridge. And didn't feel any different really the first 1-2 days. Day 3, I wake up and I'm thinking, what in the world? I feel so good. Like you'd have thought that somebody fed me like a happy pill. Like, hey, if you take this, it's going to make you happy. There were no problems in life. And if there was a problem, I could fix it. And if I couldn't fix it, it wasn't for me to worry about. Which sounds like just a good mindset, but that's so much easier said than done. And I just woke up and that was my mindset. And then, oh, my knee doesn't hurt. I've had knee pain for over a decade. Wait, my knee doesn't hurt. This is incredible. I thought I was going to have knee pain forever. I had surgery at 14 and it's just, early arthritis. And, this is my lot in life. It was just gone. Yeah, obviously on carnivore, you'll lose weight in the beginning, and sure, some of that's water weight, and it'll happen pretty quickly. But in the first month, I lost 35 pounds. I didn't lose 35 pounds of water weight. Maybe I did, but I'm gonna say I didn't. And so it kind of dawned on me, and it just as the more I did it, I'm like, okay, I feel really good. How is this unhealthy? Yeah.
Like that. Oh my goodness. So, and when you said that about the knee thing, like I resonate. Like I've had meniscus surgery on both knees, and that, I mean, I thought the same thing. That was my lot in life. I had shoulder surgery when I was 16, elbow surgery when I was 19, knee surgery when I was 21, and then again when I was 30. And I've torn my ACL, my UCL. Like it's the athlete life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the price you pay. And I was okay with that. Like, I was okay with accepting. But when people talk about how you feel, like I remember, so I played college baseball. I remember rolling out of bed, 21 years old, the day after a doubleheader, and just feeling like a Mack truck hit me, like a bus ran me over. And it's everybody like makes fun of how athletes like dress and look. I'm like, no, like I just put sweats on and a hoodie and I like limp to class. Like, and then you sit down and you're like this and you're like, oh, you're just lazy. I'm like, no, I literally feel like somebody ran me over. And then you roll into the athletic training room and then you hope they can make you feel better. And then, come Tuesday, because Monday was our off day, you jazz up and then you get going and you do it for a week again and you do it all over. And that's just what happens. And so people would be like, how do you feel? When I turned 30, I'm like, I don't know. I felt like I was 80 years old since I was 15 years old. So like, I don't know, this is normal.
Yeah.
And that feeling, like, people don't understand the knee pain. Like, my knee pain's not terrible, but it's like I would always avoid stuff on the ground. Like, I never did jujitsu because anything in a flexed position is not good. Like, I'm avoiding that, and I've got knee problems in like squats and like all of this stuff. And being able to roll out of bed and going, oh, I actually feel good. Like,
Yeah.
for probably the first time since I was 10 years old, assuming I know what that felt like, I feel good. Like, it's something that you just can't explain.
Yeah. It's liberating to just feel good. In fact, despite the knee pain, still kept working out and stuff and just did what I could. And to be fair, there were days that it felt better than others. There was always a sharp pain, but there were days it was really bad and days that, okay, I can squat today. The difference in the muscle in my thighs specifically, my quads, my left leg, which is technically my weak leg, it's not my dominant leg, considerably more muscle than my right one, because you just baby it. You don't get to fully contract the muscles and truly work it out. I'm doing lunges now. I went on a run like 2 days ago.
What's that?
We'll cut that out. Yeah,
Let's X that part out.
we
don't run here.
It wasn't anything special. It was just a couple miles, but like, it felt good. Like, and my hip flexors are very sore, so I'm definitely working muscles and joints that just haven't been getting attention just doing conventional lifting. But to be able to do that, to be able to be, I'm 26 years old and not have pain, and to feel the way that I feel, it's really put into perspective that I think this is how people are supposed to feel, because you do get accustomed to just feeling like absolute trash. This is normal. This is how people feel. You grunt when you sit down. You got to brace yourself, or it's just normal. I don't think it's supposed to be. I think we ought to feel good, especially 20s, 30s, 60s. I would say you should be feeling good.
No, it's 100% true. And like, so I'm 37, so I'm a little older, but how I feel now is better than my entire 20s. Like,
Wow.
I spent my entire 20s as, a college athlete and very amateur bodybuilder, and, worked at a gym and was very active and was fit my entire 20s. And I thought I felt good. Like, it looked good. So I was like, cool, I feel good. And, the people that bash on carnivore, especially the bloating thing, right? Like, I'll get into bloating, like the Lane Nortons of the world. You're bloated. Deal with it. I'm like, I don't think you understand. If that's your viewpoint, then you have never not been bloated.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the classic bodybuilding. You wake up first thing in the morning, snap your progress pic because you're going to look 15 pounds heavier the moment you even sniff coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
You sniff coffee and then you're like, well, I'm bloated now and I don't have abs anymore.
Yeah.
Cool. And like, that's your entire life and now I can sit down and eat almost 2 pounds of ribeye and have zero changes. No bloat. I'm not tired. I don't have to go, oh, like, there's no more 30 minutes, wait till swimming. Like,
yeah.
People don't understand. Like, that is the hardest thing for me to convey to people.
It's comical going out to lunch with friends, and we all have a big meal. I probably have the biggest meal out of everybody, because I can put down some food. I can eat 2-3 pounds of meat in one sitting, and like you said, be completely fine. I'll feel the exact same, or I'll feel better because now I'm not hungry. But it never fails. Oh, I'm so full. Oh, I ate too much. Oh, I'm bloated. Oh, nap time. Oh, and I'm like, well, I haven't experienced that in almost 9 months. I don't. It's a distant memory. And it's like, I remember feeling that way. It's like the instant regret of, I just ate all that food. Shoot, I'm going to punish myself mentally because I ate XYZ, fill in the blank. But you're 100% right. It's the longer I'm on carnivore, the more I genuinely, I'm so pissed off with the information that's out there about nutrition. And I'm no expert. I'll be the first to say that to anybody. I have zero credentials to talk about dietary, health and nutrition, but I've walked a lot of it. Like I've done most things that people can tell you, hey, do this, it's good for you. And I can confidently say this is the best that I've ever felt. And so to me, it's common sense that if your body has an adverse reaction, that's probably not a good sign. And so just the longer I do it, I'm like, anybody, the Lane Nortons of the world, God bless them. I'm not somebody that's, if you're not on this side, then you're on the wrong side. I think that he's probably helped countless folks, and people have felt better following his advice. I'm not ignorant to that, but to just so confidently and boldly, I would say blindly even, just say this is how it ought to be, because I'm a carnivore that says, hey, do what your body loves. If that means including vegetables still, eat veggies, but just eat more meat. Yeah, I promise you'll feel better. But listen,
Yeah, and
body.
yeah, it's so true. And that's part of the moment I saw your stuff, I'm like, okay, because it's hard sometimes being on carnivore to relate to the people that are also on carnivore. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are there because it's last resort, right? The Jordan Petersons, the Michaela Petersons.
Yeah.
It's I've tried everything and nothing works, right? You've lost weight eating conventional. I have too. I've dieted down to the extremes of leanness doing a standard bro science bodybuilding diet. I know I can do that. This is not, carnivore is not a prerequisite for me to get where I want physically. I do it because I feel better. So so many people, and that's, I go like this a lot because they're like, it's an elimination diet and you only need to do it if you have autoimmune issues. I'm like, well, I don't have autoimmune issues. I don't need to do it for weight loss. I do it because I feel better, and I get stricter because I feel better the stricter I get. I don't have to. I could honestly, and this is not me trying to, say anything about myself. I can look the same way eating elsewhere. I could do 60% carbs. I just did 4K of eating standard American diet, and I gained 5 pounds.
Which was awesome, by the way. I appreciate that experiment.
So, and that actually helped me more than it helped anybody else. It helped illustrate the difference in just your diet, right? Eating the same calories, working out the exact same, living the exact same life. But I instantly so you might be able to see I had bad eczema breakout on my hand. And I've had eczema for a really long time, but I've always been able to control it. And usually it's just dry. It broke out and had blisters and started, it's called weeping eczema. And I'm like, man, this is brutal. And then I had acne start to come back. And then I realized that mentally, I was like, man, moody more. I've never struggled with depression. I don't want to say that to, to anybody who has like yourself. But there was moments where I'm like, man, I'm kind of down right now. That's weird. And then I would get upset because I know what it is. I'm doing it to myself. I am eating this food that is causing me to feel this way. And now I'm upset at myself for forcing myself to do this to make, and I'm like, what is happening right now? I was like, this is weird. Now I'm struggling with sleep and dang, if I didn't know that carnivore made me feel better, I would think there was just something going on. Right? And I would go see a doctor. I'd go see a dermatologist and they would go, oh, yep, here's a prescription. Or I'd go see a psychiatrist and they're like, yeah, here's some medication. And I'm like, we have so many people that have no idea that if you just change your food, it changes everything.
I completely agree. I think that was brilliantly said. It's something that I find interesting. It is a big claim that I see from folks that are, very against carnivore is, apart from, oh, that's so unhealthy for your body, this will create a very unhealthy relationship with food. And as somebody who's always had an unhealthy relationship with food, who's punished myself for, having the 2 pints of ice cream or, eating the box of pizza, or even when I was at my strictest and, had a cheat meal once a month and it was, Five Guys burger and fries with, milkshake, just what that did to my psyche versus fast forward to now. I've never had a better relationship with food. I'm not I'm not weighing food out and, oh, can't go over that. Oh, already hit that macro. Oh, like I love food. I eat whenever I want. I stop when I want. Like it's liberating. Anybody who's so adamantly against it, I've yet to see one logical, informed argument where I'm like, no, that's valid. That's really valid. Initial opposition to carnivore, I get that. I think that's I think that part's valid. But if you sit, do a little bit of research or experiment for yourself, for crying out loud, we're not sitting here saying, hey, try meth. I feel great on it. We're talking about
Right.
something that's been around since our existence. Um, I just, if folks would just give it a try, I think it would shut up every single doubt in their mind.
Yeah, and it's like, you want to talk about an unhealthy relationship with food. So, like I said, my entire 20s, I was in good shape my entire 20s. I have a very vivid memory of the night after a bodybuilding show. And bodybuilding is like, yeah, like we can talk about that, but you're strict for a really long time and you're eating healthy foods. And I would still have cheat meals. So I was not so uber restrictive. But I remember eating so much food the night after that I literally threw up. Like, I literally made myself throw up from all of the crap that I ate, because it was just like, oh my gosh, I can finally eat this, and you just stuff your face. And I would go through that cycle, right? Like, you diet down really strict, and then you finally get a chance to eat, and then you just eat until you basically make yourself sick. And I'm like, that's an unhealthy relationship with food. And I didn't really have that big of restrictions. I was very much of, if it fits your macros, right? And now I look at food and I go, okay, what's going to happen if I eat that? I'm like, I'm probably not going to feel that good. So no, am I afraid of vegetables? No, I just legit don't want to feel that way after I eat it. So I don't.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I just did a video, like, I'm just going to be an adult and I choose the positives of not eating vegetables over the negatives.
Yeah.
Shocker. Like, yes, I have an eating disorder because I choose the foods that I feel best.
Yeah. Yeah. It's vegetables, the idea that we got to eat them for, where you're getting your fiber from. Yeah, I remember in the beginning, I got that question a lot more, and I still do, but I just remember seeing a lot more in the beginning. How are you, going to the bathroom? It's just sitting in there if you're not eating fiber. And I used to drink fiber religiously. I'd have 2 to 3 fiber drinks a day. And that's because my concept of food and fiber is, fiber's really good. Anything that I eat, I need to get it out of me as fast as possible. And that's going to make me skinny. That's good. It's good to be on the toilet 6 times a day. And looking back, I'm like, holy cow, I was freaking ignorant. I was brainwashed. Because now bowel movement's great. Maybe once a day. It's rare I don't go in a day. But anyways, the people that say, like, hey, I'm constipated. Like, what do I do? In my initial, words of encouragement or advice, whatever, is usually, how long you been on it? Increase your fats, drink more water, go do a vigorous workout. That'll, for most people, that's going to clear it right up. Most people being constipated is, I haven't gone yet today. It's like, I don't even think that humans have to go every day. As long as you're not in pain, like, if you're not in any discomfort, I think people need to change their viewpoint on, I need to be going once or twice a day, and that's regular. That's healthy. I would say what's healthy is, how do you feel? And, just how do you feel? That's it. And
Yeah,
it's just comical.
Like, no, that's a vivid memory I have from a nutrition class I took in college. Was, it's regular is what's normal for you, right? And yeah, changing your diet's going to change your regular, but it's not. Somebody is not unhealthy if they go once every 4 days. And people are going to go, wait, what? I'm like, no, if that is what your regular is, and you don't, like you said, you don't have the extreme bloating, you don't have the pain, you don't have all that, that's normal. That's fine.
Yeah.
If you go twice a day and that's normal, there's other things to look at, but that's fine. Like, there is such a wide range of what is considered normal bowel movements. And a lot of it has to do with the food that you're eating. And I firsthand had this experience. I've come to the realization that fiber is necessary if you eat food that your body's trying to get rid of. Like I had bad constipation days like 2, 3, and 4 once I started the Standard American. Like bad, like wake up in the middle of the night bad, like I'm taking laxatives bad. And I looked at my fiber and I was like, even with all of the crap I was eating, it was like 10 grams of fiber. I was like, damn, I legit have to get my fiber up. And people equate that. They'll go, oh yeah, you need fiber, otherwise you're going to be constipated. No. I need fiber if I have bad food that I have to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
The moment I go back to carnivore and eat zero fiber, I have zero issues. I have not been constipated one single time, even eating 4,000 calories of carnivore, like literally stuffing myself, drinking melted butter shakes to get my calories in. I was not constipated. And I was eating zero fiber. And so, like, I've had that, and then people come up with the studies. Oh, well, the all-cause mortality. And I'm like, yeah, you're literally everybody is eating all this crap. You eat crap food, you need fiber. You don't eat crap food, you don't need fiber.
What would you say to the folks that, okay, you don't need it for bowel movements, but just your gut microbiome? Not having it's going to destroy your gut microbiome. Yeah, it's another one.
Which is funny because we know absolutely nothing about gut microbiome. Like, let's be clear, nutrition sciences is very rudimentary. You just take, and I include this in my video, like take a look at what the gut microbiome is involved in, right? How's your mental clarity? That's a gut microbiome issue. How are you sleeping? How's your energy levels? Do you have unexpected weight gain, weight loss? Do you have inflammatory issues? Do you have autoimmune issues? Do you have constipation? Do you have like all of these things can be traced back to gut microbiome, and all of them are how do you feel? I'm like, okay, I literally like my appetite's fantastic without fiber. My portion control's fantastic. My mental health is good. I sleep good. My weight control, I have very steady weight. I don't fluctuate huge. My inflammation is good. Like the moment I go off of it, I start getting inflammatory problems. My skin, like rashes, like psoriasis went away. All of these things are better without fiber, which means my gut microbiome is doing better without fiber.
Impossible.
Like, what?
Fake news. Yeah. Yeah. It's, something that's really started to irk me, not started, because I guess it's been from the very beginning, is you could tell somebody whatever XYZ disease or issue or autoimmune disorder, or, hey, this is how it's benefited me. And they'll go, that's anecdotal. I'm like, listen, I don't care if this didn't work for any other person on the planet. If it's working for me, I'm going to keep doing it. But it is working for most others that are doing it. I've yet to meet somebody who said, hey, I followed it this way. Not the people that, yeah, I still include, the keto friendly processed foods that, still have the fiber or whatever, zero net carbs, or, because it's, I've yet to meet somebody that actually did carnivore for a period of time, extended period of time, that didn't feel better than any other diet they've ever done. And I'm not saying they don't exist. It'd be ignorant of me, but I've yet to meet that person. And so if I have my anecdotal evidence, and then I'm even walking a group of 14 individuals right now through 30 days of carnivore. Today's 1 week. 2 of them have had severe back pain go away. Everybody's lost weight, which is, again, that's to be expected. That's not a mind-boggling piece. There's a gal with Crohn's who hasn't been bloated once since starting. She has acne and stuff as well. Her skin's cleared up. Her IBS symptoms gone. She for the first time, she feels normal with her gut, her bowels. And I'm like, that's nuts. One of the mamas, she sent me an email. She goes, yeah, I just, I feel just light. I feel like I'm just in a better mood. She's got her 2 kids, and, the day's not a drag. Come home from work, and, I have energy to spend time with my kids. I'm like, this is life changing. I fully recognize I've had a pretty incredible transformation doing carnivore. And this isn't me being humble, it's not my strong suit in life, but my results are nothing compared to the countless folks that this diet has healed. So it's like, okay, is there no, peer reviewed study? First of all, I don't know anybody lining up to fund something like this, because this would absolutely bankrupt a lot of industries and organizations. But I'm okay if there's no peer reviewed study that's posted on, Harvard's website, or, WebMD or CDC, whatever. I'm good with that. In fact, part of me says that there's more credibility to that, the fact that there is no funded peer reviewed study. And so just it's anecdotal. I'm like, piss off, dude. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Guess what the most important piece of evidence is for an individual? Anecdotal evidence. Guess what? I don't care what your paper says, right? I care about what happens with me. And it's like, yeah, I get it if you're, if you're like, hey, rock stars smoke meth and do coke and they live till 80. And you're like, okay, that might not be it. But you talk about like results, like that's the thing about the weight loss thing. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have lost weight on carnivore. There's a lot of people that have lost weight doing all kinds of stuff. Like there's a dude that fasted for 384 days and lost like 300 pounds because he fasted. Okay, cool, weight loss. But it's the everything else, right? It's the I've had Valerie Ann on my Valerie Smith, severe mental problems, like in and out of psych wards, like on so many medications, terrible eating disorders, 80 pounds, like all this stuff. And she eats 3 pounds of meat and like goes crazy and now feels amazing and is like, has her life back. There was a guy, had another video that did well, of a guy who's like, this is what this carnivore chick eats, and this is unhealthy, and this is dangerous. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, you picked it when she was trying to overcome something, and it wasn't an eating disorder. It was a SIBO, which was a bacterial infection that's basically sucking all the nutrients out of the body. And she ate this way, gained 26 pounds, and basically saved her life. Horrible. Like, how dare she? Like Michaela Peterson. Like, I literally have brought up Michaela Peterson every single podcast I've done. And it's like, that's like, that is next level.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't need that. She had rheumatoid arthritis as like a 12-year-old. It might have been earlier than that. At 12, she was on medication for rheumatoid arthritis. Like, joint replacements at 19 years old. This is not, hey, yeah, I cut out, sweets and now I feel good. This is debilitating. Like, how is this girl going to live? Like, the fact that she is still alive, not from rheumatoid arthritis killed her. But if you statistically put that up, like, the risk of her in suicide is astronomical. Like, the fact that she is still alive is amazing. And not only she's alive, she's married, has kids, like, and has this successful career.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, I don't give a rip. That's anecdotal.
Yeah. Don't give a rip. Don't give 2 rips. I love that you're bringing up all these gals too, because I think there's people's perception with food, at least, and even myself, is like meat. It's more of like a guy thing, or at least fatty red meat. Like, yeah, guys do that. They're eating a big, bone-in ribeye or whatever, and then girls, chicken breast. Got to eat, chicken breast and salad. I'm curious what you say when people ask you, like, hey, can women do this? Is this safe for women?
I've actually, and so I've sought out multiple female experts on it. In like 4 days, I have an episode dropping with a female registered dietitian who isn't full carnivore. She's more keto, but it's the low carb, right? So many women are convinced that you need carbs for your hormones, right? Because that's the big difference between men and women, right? Aside from basic biological anatomical features, Hormonal considerations is the big thing when you're talking about diets with men. And animal fats are so important for hormones. And you're right, like it's the light dressing, it's the chicken breast, it's the, like, growing up, like, women didn't eat red meat. It's too fatty, right? It's chicken, it's, not even like fatty fish, it's like lean fish, it's maybe shrimp, it's salads, it's this and that. And I think that's why there's such a push from a female perspective to veganism, because it's so much easier to align that type of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need very much fat, so I'm going to just load up on fruits and veggies, and hopefully these carbs help. But it's, man, animal fat is so important for hormones. And once you have adequate animal fat, you don't need the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so hard for a lot of women to get through. But you just look at women who have PCOS, which is very much a hormonal issue, and they're able to overcome that. Like mental stuff, like period stuff,
Mm-hmm.
all of these things that are so hormonal driven, that once they finally realize that animal fat is good for you, it changes everything. And you have these massive transformations from a, not just physical, but just mental. Like, that's super debilitating for a woman. If you have to go through and once a month you have 4 days of where you're absolutely wrecked,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have like high cortisol levels, and then you have thyroid issues, and now you're trying to do I eat 1,200 calories a day and I work out 6 days a week and I'm still not losing weight, and now I have like these body issues, and like you said, now I shame myself anytime I go off the rails and eat because I'm starving myself.
Mm-hmm.
It just, man, that's going to mess with you. That is going to mess your life up. And once they start realizing that animal fats feed those hormones, like it's just a game changer.
Yeah, I completely agree. There was, I asked the same question to, her name's Duru. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
just curious. I was like, hey, what are your thoughts on this as a female who does carnivore? And she was just saying, you got to understand that humans are funny, because I don't think there's any other documented species that varies from what their diet ought to be, unless humans are feeding them something that they shouldn't be eating. Uh, there's no other species on the planet that's confused about what they ought to be eating in their natural habitat. And so, yes, while men and women, hormonally very different, we're the same species. Like, we shouldn't be having different diets, different portions. Sure, maybe men naturally are just going to be stronger than women and larger than women most of the time. Yeah, one of my dear friends back home, she told me, she goes, "Hey, my husband and I, we started carnivore after seeing your initial month," and I'm thinking, cool, why? Because they seemingly fit couple, beautiful 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old, um, have always been great shape, both of them, and she'd eat all the healthy snacks that fit your macros, and zero sugar, and a lot of fiber in there. And she opened up, and this is something she shared publicly. Didn't have a period cycle for over 2 years after her firstborn. I'm thinking, oh geez, I don't know anything about that world, so I'm thinking, though, that's not good. She's 28. That's not healthy. Fast forward 30 days into carnivore, she had a cycle. I'm thinking, what is this? And so I have to constantly remind myself, like, this does sound like snake oil. It sounds like, hey, this way of eating it just sounds so impossible that this could possibly benefit so many people with so many different issues. But it points back to your gut health matters. The nutrition that you're eating, the food that you're eating, it matters. And I genuinely believe, I think I first heard Dr. Ken Berry say this, but if folks did carnivore, if everybody did carnivore, forget is it sustainable for the planet for a second. Uh, if everybody did carnivore, you might need one doctor, one family practice doctor per county, and that's about it, we wouldn't have all these health issues. People would drastically feel better and their issues would go away. And they'd wake up and realize, oh, how I felt the last, 4 decades of my life wasn't normal. That my body was dying, for the first time it's thriving. And so I love what you said though, because I believe full-heartedly, hey, this isn't a dude thing. Yeah, I look at my ratios, my analytics for social media, and it's, I think, 76% men that follow me.
That's almost exactly what mine is. That's like almost exactly what mine is.
And analytics don't matter to me. Like, it's not something that I'm, sitting here tracking, but I do find that so interesting that, wow, 76% of men versus, 24, whatever percent of women are thinking, okay, this could be beneficial for me. That's nuts.
And that's really crazy that you bring up. So like, I do have like a background in that world, and especially in sports, like it's so common in women. It's called the female athlete triad. Like it's so common for athletic females who usually have a lower body fat percentage to have missed periods, low energy, and low bone density. Like it's literally called the female athlete triad, and it is so common in athletes that it's a consideration. And it's not unnormal for female athletes to miss periods for multiple months, years. And most of it is down to low body fat and high energy expenditure. And yeah, like so many people, I've talked to numerous people, and I'm glad there's more accounts out there, because it's like this weird thing, especially from a dude's perspective. It's weird to like try and like bring it up. So I like, yeah, right. Like, so I try and have as many women on as possible who can speak to it, because it's a thing that a lot of them have overcome once they introduce animal fat. I'm like, I don't think people understand dietary cholesterol and saturated fat and animal fat in general, how important that is to cell regulation and hormone production and just like all of these things. And I think it's a two-way street between that, like make sure you get that. And once you start removing out these foods, like there's such a game-changing difference that people are like want to fight, right? Like whether it's seed oils or whether it's processed foods or whether it's additives or food coloring or any of these things, everybody's like, the dose makes the poison, right? Just eat a little bit, it's fine. You would have to drink 2,000 Diet Cokes in order to kill yourself. Well, why would I want to even mess around with that? Like, why is it okay that glyphosate's in my food? They're like, oh yeah, but see, that's parts per billion, and you would have to eat 46,000 bowls of cereal in order to be. Do you know what glyphosate is? I went and sprayed glyphosate out on my lawn right now.
Yeah.
Like to kill weeds. Why should I accept that it's in my food?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, you should see what animals. I'm like, the reason we eat animals is because they have this thing called the digestive system that filters out most of these toxins.
Yeah.
That's why we stick with ruminants. Like they have 4 chambers that do it exceptionally well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think people understand like how much that wrecks people's hormones is all these additives. And I can tell straight up, I can tell when I'm eating like the food I'm supposed to versus not.
Yeah. I one of my favorite ways to kind of rebuttal you would have to drink 2,000 Diet Cokes for it to make a difference. Like, okay, if I make you some food, I just put a small piece of dog poo in there, tiny, microscopic. Are you good with eating it? Well, no. Well, that's different. Like, it's not different. It's still, you ought not eat this. Don't eat it. And I'm a big believer. Not everybody has to be carnivore. I mean, I said that earlier, just eat more meat. And I think that alone would make people feel better. I do think if somebody strictly did carnivore, they would feel they're optimal. But my goal for folks of even talking about carnivore is, hey, figure out what your body loves. It is so worth it. I'm telling you, as somebody who's been fit doing it the other way and somebody who's now fit doing it the carnivore way, I'm telling you, nothing compares to this. But hey, statistically speaking, anybody that tries carnivore, they probably will not be carnivore for the rest of their life. Hell, even myself, I'm a pretty diehard carnivore dude. I don't have any reason to think that I'll ever go off of it. Does that mean that I'll never have a bite of ice cream again? Maybe, probably not. Who knows? But if you can get to a point where okay, this is how my body feels at its optimal level, and okay, I slowly add stuff back in, whatever seasonings, whatever fruits or vegetables, whatever processed junk, people, I just love it so much. For me, the carrot cake, I love carrot cake. Of all the cakes, carrot cake, freaking love it. If somebody can pinpoint, okay, I know this food's going to make me feel this way once a month, once a quarter, yeah, I'm just going to splurge. And by all means, if you want to do that, do it and pay for it for the next couple days, few days, whatever. But if people just knew their bodies better, golly, this world would change. Truly it would, because people would just be so much better here. We would see, I'm convinced the world would just change on so many different levels.
It's 100% fact. Like I'm with you. I'm one of the more lenient carnivores out there for sure. I don't have a problem with fruits for the most part. I was animal based for the first year plus. The reason I don't is I feel better. That's literally the reason. Like we can get into like carbs and like Randall's cycle and all of this stuff on how you want to talk about mechanisms. But if people want to eat fruit, that's fine. What I tell people is, okay, just for 30 days, just remove processed food, all processed food. And none of these people are like, well, the moment you pick an apple off a tree, it becomes processed. I'm like, no, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Stop this nonsense. I'll say ultra processed for you if that's what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah.
Right? If it comes in a package, don't eat it. And I'm not talking about meat that's like shrink wrapped, right? Just do that. And you'll see how you feel. And you know what happens is you get done with 30 days and you're like, man, I feel good. I wonder if I could feel better. Like, I wonder if there's something I could do. And then you start, like you said, you experiment. I started removing some fruit. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm just going to cut fruit out completely and see what happens. And honestly, like the biggest life-changing moment for me, I didn't have any of these crazy like experiences of euphoria or like inflammation just left my body. I really didn't have any of that once I finally cut out carbs. When I finally became fat adapted, fully fat adapted, I no longer had to worry about when I ate. I don't have to worry about when I eat. So like these podcasts are perfect. Most of them I do like mid-morning, late morning. Before I'd wake up and I'm like, all right, I gotta wake up in time so I can make food so I can eat before. Because if I don't eat till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm gonna have a bad time. Like it's just not gonna be good for me. Now it doesn't matter. Like I just did a 36-hour fast. After coming off my 4K SAD, 36-hour fast, just because I wasn't hungry. And then I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just keep going. Like, and I'm fine. And I've literally had 3/4 of a carnivore bar and a little bit of kefir in the last, like, we're coming up on like 40 hours. And I'm not suggesting that everybody do that. But once you, like, I tell the story of my tattoo, like, the guy was like, hey, prepare for 7 hours, maybe bring some food. And instantly I was like, oh, no. What am I going to do? How am I going to get food? What am I going to bring? Like, I don't want to get like halfway through this session and be like starting to get shaky. And I'm like, this is like a nightmare for me. I literally just went and did the appointment and ate like 10 hours later. Not a problem whatsoever. And I'm like, this is the life-changing. Like, if this was the only benefit that I got, this would be worth it. Mm-hmm. Because I now do not have to freak out and plan my life around food.
Yeah. It's liberating. I'm curious your thoughts on this. So you're jacked, dude. Like you got a great physique. You've done well. The folks that say there's no way you can have a good workout, without carbs. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know my thoughts and I know my experience working out without carbs or even food in general, just fasted. I love it, but what would you say to that person?
So I have had, this was the other good thing about the 4K SAD is I was loaded up on carbs the whole time. I think there can be slight benefit to working out with carbs if you are extremely meticulous. And so what I mean by this is I used to be the guy, I would have to be eating my food as I walked out onto the gym floor. Because if there was too long of a period in between when I ate, when I started working out, my workout was shot, I'd run out, it would just be terrible. And I didn't usually have to do an intra workout type of, carb load up, but there are people that do, right? You got people on social media eating gummy bears in the middle of their workout because they need to refuel. And so I think if you time it, like if that is your life, if performance is your life, you can structure everything in a way that you can probably maximize a little bit more benefit eating carbs. Most of these, like 99.999% of these people are not professional athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? Again, I don't have to worry about when I eat before I work out. If I have not eaten for the day and I work out at 11 o'clock in the morning, my workout is just as good, right? I do not have strength decreases. I do not have energy decreases. I don't hit a wall. I have zero problems working out without carbs. The only thing is like the pump is a little bit less.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But guess what? I'm not a professional athlete. And everything else that is more beneficial, it's hands down better.
Yeah. I love your view on everything. I feel like you're pretty centered on just thinking things through rationally. There's people in the carnivore community that, no, you'll experience everything, this is heaven on earth. And I think part of that's true, but it's not possible to experience any kind of benefit from anything else. And I think that's just not true. Like that gives it a bad rap because I think that's false. I think you're spot on. And I love that you point that out that, hey, if you are that, 0.0001% person, I think you could optimize that. Most gym bros, like I promise, whatever you're doing currently, I don't know why you're even stressed about, having carbs before the gym. You're probably not utilizing it properly anyways. It's like Michael Scott carb loading before the
It's like it's set like a rock in my stomach.
It just, I don't know. It's comical to me. The things that people worry about, or even like loose skin. I think to an extent, loose skin's a valid fear. If somebody's losing a bunch of weight, that's a question I get a lot. Hey, do you struggle with loose skin? That's my biggest fear. I'm thinking, that's your biggest fear? Like, of all the things being uninformed or misinformed about carnivore, loose skin's your biggest fear? Not even like heart attack or something like that, loose skin? Yeah. I've been fortunate to be just a bigger build dude. Putting on muscle's not hard for me. I've always had a lot of it. Yeah, God bless my mother. I'm pretty sure I was a big baby. Anyways, so having muscle and just being a bigger dude, and for whatever reason, I didn't grow out this way. I was always big, but just didn't have this massive stomach. So do I have loose skin? Sure. Technically, it's not, tight as could be. Even if it was, I can't imagine in any world that being overweight with a tight beer belly that sticks out to here, I can't imagine that being better than having loose skin. And so just some of the fears people have, I don't want to invalidate somebody's fears, but I do wish folks would just think through it a little bit more. I promise you, there's nothing wrong with loose skin. I bet you'd feel better taking your shirt off with loose skin than with a mean old belly. Yeah.
It's like, it's true. And people, back to the carbs thing, like people want to, like, well, what do athletes do? I'm like, okay, well, first of all, you have to remember athletes are freaks.
Yeah.
Okay. And my perfect example, and most people don't know this reference anymore, but David Wells, one of the better pitchers in MLB history, threw a perfect game, which is the pinnacle of baseball performance, while still drunk, was still intoxicated, and threw a perfect game. So, like, this athlete thing, like, I can promise you, as a collegiate athlete, I didn't care what the hell my ritual, I was more worried about what my ritual was before. And guess what? I ate McDonald's, like a breakfast, like burrito and like a sausage egg McMuffin prior to a game that I did really well. And I kid you not, for the next year and a half, I ate that before every single. I can promise you that athletes are not super worried about their health and nutrition.
Yeah.
Like, as long as they don't have like massive declines in performance, they do not care. So why would I want to emulate that? Because guess what? Athletes don't feel good most of the time. They
Yeah.
hurt all the time. And they think that's just normal. Like, I don't think the average person wants to go around feeling like that.
Mm-mm. No.
Crazy. Before we run out of time, because I told you this was going to happen, talk to me about how you started the social media, like what prompted you to start it. And then did you have an adjustment period to your current style? I'll call it current style. And what I mean by that is, when I first started, I was like faceless. I was like, I'm just going to like put this stuff in. Like I'm basically going to, try and be this nice and like happy person.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you started, or like how did you find your rhythm? And what prompted you to, at what point were you like, you know what, I should start sharing on social media?
Gotcha. Okay.
And then how you currently are, like the dry, like sarcastic, like don't do this, I don't give a rip.
Yeah.
Did you always have that, or did you like, how did that evolve?
Yeah. So talking about carnivore was never my goal. I think that is a side effect of doing carnivore. If somebody does carnivore, you're going to know.
These people don't know I'm carnivore.
Yeah. I should tell them. Yeah. It is funny seeing comments like that. Like, these people are worse than vegans. And it's like, I think there's some truth to that. Like, we just talk about it. And for most people, I think it's for good reason. They're sharing, hey, if something has impacted your life so much, why would you not talk about it? If I think I found this crazy secret that could benefit anybody, I'd be a ding dong to not talk about it. Like,
Literally everybody does, with everything.
Yeah.
From every aspect of life, and it's okay, except for if it's...
Yeah. We are in the wrong, and as long as we recognize that, no, but doing carnivore, I never had any intention on talking about it. I didn't even think I would stick to it. I thought I was going to fail. Like, I genuinely thought, like, okay, let's give this a shot. See how many days I can make it up. Anyways, made a update 30 days in, and didn't think anybody would see it. Truly, I posted it to my personal social media, so not Carnivore Ray, but just my personal Instagram and my TikTok, which I had a video posted prior to that, and it got like 1 million views, and I was blown away. I'm like, what? Anyways, people had questions. I just kept answering them, and I don't know anything about social media. I've been very fortunate, I guess you'd say, with social media, because my content's not special. I have zero editing skills. Most of the time, it's just me talking like this. I finally invested in a tripod, and so at least my phone's stationary or not leaned up against a wall. But talking about it was not my goal. I just think that when something really good happens in life, it's just natural for folks to want to talk about it. And for me, social media, if that first video never did anything, I probably wouldn't talk about it online, because that wasn't my goal. I don't give a rip about social media. I think it's quite dumb and time consuming for the most part. That's just my 2 cents. I've wasted days of my life on social media scrolling. And so in regards to content and how I do it, the dry, sometimes humorous, sometimes just direct, and it's like, this guy needs to smile more. That's just me as a person. And so I'm not getting into character. Like, truly, that's me. I love alone time. Like, I love just being by myself. I've got the greatest friend group of dudes in the world. You ask them, they'll tell you. If they say, hey, does everybody want to go do this? And if it doesn't sound fun to me, if I'm just, my social cues capped out, I'll go, no, it sounds awful. And I'll stay in. And so truly, that dry humor and just that direct, just this guy seems a little intense. That's truly just me as a person. I don't have any strategy when it comes to social media. I truly don't. All I know is that for whatever reason, people like captions. I like captions. And so you slap that on a video and people are more inclined to give it a watch. But yeah.
So that's so funny, because like I started opposite. right? I was like, I'm faceless. I'm just going to do some video edits, provide some educational information, and kind of dud out of the water. And so it was probably like 3 months in, and I should probably I should really just share my transformation, because so I lost 35 pounds. And, at first everybody's like, you got jacked on carnivore. I was like, no, like I was kind of like this before. Like I just like got back to it. I was like, I should really, and that was a hiccup for me. I was like, it was like 4 months before I ever showed my face. And then I started doing some stuff, and I was like, okay. And I feel like social media figured that out, and they're like, yeah, this guy's stuff not gonna do anything. Like we're gonna cap this. But I started building like relationships with people, but I never had anything to do like a video do. And I shared this in a video I did. It took me a year on Instagram for one video to do 10,000 views. Like I had some edits on other platforms, and I was starting to get a following on Twitter, and YouTube was doing decent, but Instagram was always like, okay, a year in, I had like 3,500 followers, which was fine. Like, I'm like, okay, this is like, I'm like doing okay. And then I finally had a video like go crazy. And then, like you were saying, like it just went like crazy. And I went from like 3,500 to like 30,000 in like 2 months.
Wow.
It's just what's happening right now. And then like everything. But I think it illustrates like people just want the authenticity. Like, and people will say that and be like, you should smile more. Like, why the RBF, or why are you angry? I'm like, no, this is how I am.
It's just me.
I'm a little bit of a dick. Like, I'll admit it. Like, that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem telling people that.
Yeah.
I slap back in comments. Like, if you're gonna be a douche on my comment, I am going to slap right back. And people will go, "What was that for?" I was like, "Do you expect me just to like take it?" Like,
I love reading through your comments. One, because it makes me feel better. I'm like, oh, I'm not the only punching bag. But my favorite thing to do, it's got to truly be just an ignorant, blatantly stupid thing for somebody to say. I'll pin it, and I won't even be mean. I made a sarcastic video about my favorite thing about carnivore diet just being a calorie deficit, yada yada. Meanwhile, I'm eating a massive plate of food and talking about how I'll eat another massive plate of food later. Some ding dongs like, that's not a calorie deficit, blah 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 blah. Yeah, you idiot. That's the sarcasm.
No kidding.
And just, I think you missed it. And I'll just be so subtle with it. And I think people love it. But that's my humor. I've got a dicey tongue. I try to keep cursing to a very minimum when it comes to social media. And same thing in, real life, just social settings. But you put me in my office setting, or you put me anything competitive, the sailor comes out. And so in any given situation where, okay, I need to be composed, I need to be a professional, or I just don't want to be disrespectful to people, I will make them spell it out themselves that, oh, I'm an idiot. And there's pros and cons to that. I'm not bragging about that, but I've got a dicey tongue.
When I finally started to get a little traction is when I came out with Eat an Effing Steak. I was like, I'm going to and it's like, I got all over like shirts, and I was like, and I've toned that down quite a bit. I often will not say that in a video now, because like, I'm trying to keep swearing to a minimum. Like it gets very annoying when somebody, gets on a video and just goes,
yeah.
And you're like, okay, really? Like, did you really need to include all of those? And, but the same way, I'm like, this is the personality I have. If you are going to come on my page unsolicited and say something stupid, I'm going to help you realize that. And if you don't, everybody else is going to. And yeah, I had the guy who did the video on how much that girl ate. And I know the girl. Like, I talked to her.
Yeah.
He's like, Seco, bro? And I pinned it. I was like, oh, bro, this is not good for you. Like, you apparently have a lot of followers, but you have time to be in my comment section. Yeah. So good luck. And it's got like, that comment has like, 200 comments underneath it. And it's just like, my phone just, I have to turn my notifications off on Instagram because it'll be like comment. Like, you load in and you're like, okay, like, let's go through all of these right now. But yeah, it's the same way. Like, once I stopped trying to Like, I'm going to be like upbeat and positive and like carnivore's the best. I'm like, no, like carnivore's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Obviously. Does everybody have to do carnivore? No. Will everybody succeed on carnivore? Maybe. I think the majority would. But just get rid of like processed crap. Like, stop telling people that you just need to eat less and move more. Like, stop telling people that you can eat your sugar in moderation, because it's just, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of this works. It's the reason we're all fat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is the problem that we're all trying to overcome. And I have a problem with the way people go about it. And I come from the gym bro world. Like, that is my world. So yes, I can speak your language, and I'm telling you what you're doing is wrong. And if you want to fight about it, let's fight about it. I'll make reaction videos. You can make reaction videos back. I'll ignore you, and then you'll become unhinged and comment on my page 8,000 times.
And then one day block me. Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, whatever. Like, it doesn't bother me. You can call me out all you want. It's not going to bother me.
Yeah.
You're not going to make me mad. This is social media. Like, I know this is your life, but okay. I'm going to keep doing me, and every video I make, I'm comfortable with somebody else, like, trying to attack it. Otherwise, I wouldn't post it.
Yeah.
So do your reaction videos. I'm not going to comment on your video. Your followers are all going to parade around how stupid the carnivore is. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Oh, God. JT, I just want to honor you, man. I'm very appreciative of you. I think you have a wealth of knowledge, and I personally gain so much from watching your content. I'm very just thankful and blown away by everything that you share, because it's just so insightful. Because I'm still a box of rocks. You know, like I don't have any credentials for this, and so you're changing lives, man. You've changed my life. You've taught me so much, and so I'm very, very thankful and honored that you'd have me on this podcast.
I appreciate it, man. I was thrilled when you said you do it. I was like, man, this is a dude that I can, connect with. So yeah, this is fantastic. I love your stuff.
This is my first time ever doing a podcast.
Seriously?
Yeah.
No way, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm honored that mine was your first one. Yeah, like I said, if I don't cut this off, we're going to end up at 2 hours. And what's going on? So where can people find you on social media to get more information?
Yeah. Instagram, Carnivore Ray _, and TikTok, just Carnivore Ray. YouTube, I post there. I post all the same stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. So
I do too. I could literally recycle it to all my platforms, and I don't have very many cross followers, which is weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, like people are like, how do you post so much? I was like, it literally takes me 30 seconds to post 5 videos to 5 different social media places, all with the same caption.
Yeah.
Like, copy, paste, post. Done.
Yeah. Go to any social media site, type in Carnivore Ray, it'll pop up.
I highly recommend checking him out, guys, especially the new video professional short movie that he did. Absolutely fantastic. Go check it out. Really, really appreciate you being on. To everybody listening, thank you again, and we'll see you guys next time.